The chains screeched like a banshee, ripping me from sleep at 5:30 a.m. My heart pounded as I bolted upright, recognizing that unmistakable sound of tow truck. Through my bedroom window, yellow lights flashed in the pre-dawn haze, and there in my driveway stood Susan Hargrove, our HOA tyrant, while VYing a stack of papers like a battle flag. Her target? My pride and joy, a sleek Ducati Panigale V4, gleaming red under the streetlights. I threw on a robe, barefoot and furious, sprinting across the cold concrete. "Stop right now," I yelled, my voice echoing in the quiet cul-de-sac. The tow driver froze, chains dangling, while Susan spun around, her blonde bob swinging like a guillotine. "Ethan Carter, this eyesore is ruining our neighborhood," she snapped, thrusting her papers at me. Section 8.3 bans unusual vehicles without board approval. I'm authorized to remove it. I took a shaky breath, adrenaline surging. "Susan, this is my property. You've got no right to touch my bike." The driver glanced between us, clearly regretting this job. "Sir, I didn't sign up for this," I told him. "Look that bike and it's theft." 3 months ago, when I moved into Pinecrest Estates, I knew about the HOA basic stuff like approved fence colors and lawn height rules. What the realtor didn't mention was Susan Hargrove, the self-crowned queen of property values, who ran the HOA like her personal fiefdom. My Ducati was her obsession from day one. It wasn't loud, I kept it respectful. It wasn't junk, I polished it weekly, cleaner than Susan's pristine Lexus. But it was different, and in Susan's world, different was a crime. It started with a note on HOA letterhead, slid under my door. "Unusual vehicles must be garaged to maintain aesthetic standards." I read the bylaws cover to cover. Nothing banned motorcycles and driveways, only broken down cars or commercial rigs. I fired off a polite email, citing the rules. Susan's reply? A reinterpretation of community standards and a veiled threat about property values. Then her campaign went nuclear. She called an emergency HOA meeting, coaching neighbors to gripe about non-standard vehicles. When that flopped, she started stalking my driveway, snapping photos, measuring my bike's distance from the property line with a tape measure, muttering about setback violations. One evening, I came home to an orange sticker slapped on my Ducati seat, subject to removal, non-compliant vehicle, signed with Susan's initials and an HOA stamp. Enough was enough. I installed security cameras and had my lawyer send a cease and desist letter to Susan and the HOA board, spelling out her harassment. For a week, silence. I thought she backed off. I was dead wrong. That morning, with the tow truck looming, Susan doubled down. "I have documentation," she shrieked, her voice piercing the dawn. "As HOA president, I can remove anything that violates standards." I pulled out my phone, showing the driver my camera feed. "Look, she trespassed at 5:15 a.m. and called you. I didn't authorize this." The driver backed away, muttering, "Ma'am, I need city or police approval to tow without consent." Susan's face turned beet red. She stepped closer, jabbing a manicured finger at my chest. "This isn't over, Ethan. That bike's tanking our home values, and I'll sue if I have to." I cut her off, voice steady. "The bylaws don't mention motorcycles, Susan. This is harassment." "Stop." Her eyes narrowed to slits. "I've run this HOA for 10 years. I decide what belongs here, and that thing doesn't." I'd had it. I dialed the non-emergency police line, staring her down. "I'm reporting harassment and attempted theft. I've got video of her trespassing and trying to steal my bike." Susan's smugness flickered, but she grabbed her phone. "Fine. I'm calling 911 for bylaw violations and threats." As we waited, Susan paced my driveway, reciting HOA rules to the air. Curious neighbors peeked out, drawn by the drama. The tow driver, done with this circus, parked on the street, probably praying he'd still get paid. When 2 cops rolled up, Susan pounced. "Officers, I'm Susan Hargrove, HOA president. This man's motorcycle violates our standards. I have the right to enforce." The older cop raised a hand. "Ma'am, HOA rules are CIVIL, not criminal. We don't enforce them." Susan's voice climbed. But he's threatening me. That bike's ruining our values. I showed the officers my footage. Susan sneaking onto my property, calling the tow. They flipped through her binder of rules. The younger cop frowned. Ma'am, nothing here bans motorcycles in driveways. It's implied. Susan spat, unraveling. It's about neighborhood integrity. The older cop's tone sharpened. Did Mr. Carter give you permission to enter his property? Susan scoffed. I'm the HOA president. I don't need permission. Actually, you do, the cop said. That's trespassing. And trying to tow his bike? That's attempted theft. Susan's face drained of color. This is outrageous. I'm protecting our community. Then, in a jaw-dropping move, she stormed toward my Ducati. If no one else will save our values, I will, she screamed, grabbing the handlebars, trying to shove it over. I lunged, steadying the bike as the kickstand held. Ma'am, step back, the older cop barked. But Susan was gone, lost in her crusade. That's enough, he said, grabbing her arm. Susan Hargrove, you're under arrest. Handcuffs clicked as they read her rights: criminal harassment, attempted property damage, trespassing, attempted theft. Neighbors gasped, some filming, as Susan was led to the cruiser, still yelling, "This isn't over." It was, though. 3 weeks later, I sat in a courtroom, watching Susan face the judge. She'd pleaded guilty to harassment and trespassing to dodge the theft charge. The sentence hit hard: 6 months probation, a DULA 1,000 fine, 40 hours of community, SARE VYC, and a restraining order barring her from my property. The kicker? The HOA board had ousted her in an emergency vote. Her reign was over. As she left the courtroom, Susan's eyes met mine pure defeat. Neighbors later shared their own horror stories. Fines for Christmas lights up a day late. Threats over grass a quarter-inch too long. Susan had terrorized Pinecrest for years, but no one stood up until now. My Ducati still sits in my driveway, untouchable. What would you do if someone tried to control your property like this? Are HOAs more harm than good? Or do they protect communities? Should I have compromised to keep the peace? Or was fighting back the only way? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more wild stories. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story on Store of Good Stories. If this story touched your heart or made you think, don't forget to hit like and share the video to spread this positive message to more people. And if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the meaningful stories we share every week. Your support is the biggest motivation for Store of Good Stories to keep bringing heartfelt and valuable stories to you. See you in the next video.